Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Claire, Sylvain, and
Rosa.
Xander. Hello.
Hi.
So here we are.
Lovely.
And yeah,
Mm.
I just want to start with asking you, both of you, Claire and Sylvain. I know that you, in a way, are working on a so-called project and are building up something, and I'm curious about it. Maybe you want to share a little bit?
Oh, it's so exciting to actually be talking about it. We talk about it quite a lot, but to sort of be talking about it with other people, it's kind of actually probably the first time, and I don't know how interested family members are, so to sort of talk with you guys, it's really wonderful. Thank you so much. Um, do you want,
No, you go
did
ahead.
I do
No,
it? You do it?
no, no, you do it. Just explain it, and I'll come in maybe at some point.
Wait, first of all, so Claire, you are a therapist,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
professional therapist, so okay.
Yeah.
And Sylvain, what are you doing?
I don't really work anymore, but I've got an occupation. I'm a guide in a big sort of touristy place which is called Blenheim Palace, which belongs to the 12th Duke of Marlborough today. So it's still a duke. And because I'm French, I've been employed to speak French to French visitors. But
Okay.
in fact, I spent my time speaking my bad English to English people.
Your English is not bad.
But it keeps my brain in good order and my legs. So this is quite pleasant. It's a lovely environment. It's a beautiful park and gardens.
Nice.
And it's an easy job. You don't take your work at home afterwards. It's
Cool.
just, and I think to a large extent, uh, what I like about it is that we meet many people, and it's amazing how us individually, when we set our mind, how we can change life for other people just by welcoming them, smiling at them. Genuinely,
Beautiful.
it makes a big difference.
Mm.
So it's
Beautiful.
quite pleasant.
Beautiful. I also noticed that I simply love the interaction with people. Now I'm noticing this also. It's just like I love it. I love it for no reason. Just this interaction. It's beautiful. It's just beautiful energy.
Mm.
And how did you met in a way?
It was at Blenheim. I was just going to say, so that's how Sylvain and I met. I was working at Blenheim as well when I was training or getting my qualification in psychotherapy. So I was just going to say, I can see sort of the impact that he has on people when he greets them at the door, and it's just sort of this sort of energy, And I don't think you realize it unless somebody kind of mirrors it back to you. But these women will be sort of walking in through the main door, and he'll kind of make a joke about the umbrella bag or something, saying it's like a baguette bag, or there'll be something that he said, and they come in and they've just got these big smiles on their faces. So I sort of, when I met Sylvain, I just had this kind of sense that I've met someone really special. Um,
Yeah.
and I was one of the only people who went on his wellbeing walks. He led these walks around for staff. There's about 400 staff at Blenheim, and he set up a wonderful program to take staff around the grounds and sort of look at nature, look at trees. You can explain it a lot better than me, but just sort of helping people to see that nature and themselves. There's so much beauty in nature, and there's so much connection here. And I went on the walks, and we sort of just got chatting, and we became friends, and that
So
sort of.
you're kind of soulmates.
No,
Well,
we're better than that, really.
Cool. Very good. Very good.
I remember Sylvain saying to me, we're the same species of tree. And it was about 2 months after we'd met. And I remember feeling so incredibly honored for him to say that to me because I've sort of, I think when we first met, I had this real kind of, when you meet somebody who speaks, that's something that you see as truth, and someone who you meet and there's so much. And I'm going to embarrass you, but I think I sort of had that had that slight sort of, wow, that's wonderful. You think that we can work together. You think that I can kind of speak your language. Gosh, the sort of story was for me that I couldn't. I've said that to you guys both before. I sort of so with my relationship with Sylvain, it was kind of me accepting, and he's been so supportive in my career as a therapist. He already sees me as a qualified psychotherapist, even though I wasn't when I first met him. it's sort of coming into my own power, and I sort of saw him as, and you know, what he could offer, and so he's now my sort of unofficial supervisor of my clients, and actually what we
Beautiful.
could do together, which
Beautiful.
sort of what brings us to the work that we're
Beautiful.
now
Like
doing.
as I'm saying, following the highest excitement, and then naturally, so the right people are just coming, and it's a beautiful dance in a way.
I think
Nice.
also, for me, what's been a discovery is the fact that actually Claire, as you probably know, I mean, she's a therapist, yes, but she's also she's qualified in law. She had a law degree. She's also been a marketing executive, a successful one. She's an incredibly good writer. She hasn't mentioned that, but she's phenomenal. She can write about any subject extremely well, very fast. I'm very impressed by that sort of thing. And she's been studying all those years, so she's very applied. Me, I'm the opposite of the picture. I have never studied anything. I don't have
Hey, welcome in the club. The same to me.
I don't have a diploma to my name, but I've been always interested in life for many years, and I've been looking around, trying to understand or discover what life was. Through that, I've learned quite a lot,
Hmm.
which I've tested, which is why I love the trees, and I like taking people to nature because what we see is who we are at the same time. There's no difference between the two. And then in an amazing turn of event, when I met Claire and we started talking together, we discovered that actually we came to the same views from two different
Yeah,
directions.
beautiful.
And so
Beautiful.
between the two of us, we cover a huge spectrum for people when we talk to people together. I think that we can address people of totally different views, but
Yeah,
we have the answers for them.
yeah.
We've got our first workshop tomorrow, Rosa and Sander. We're going to test how our how
How
we
good
work
that is.
together. Yeah,
Yes.
test the theory.
So how does it work? Like what is in a way the subject, or how just go into this. What is it about? What are you doing?
It's so funny because actually it's just sort of coming from our conversations we have at the dinner table here. Like, you know, we've been friendly for about a year and we just sort of chat about our worldviews, and it just kind of came from that, really. It was like, well, this is so important. You know, we're talking about well-being and this sort of way to live, that's so free and clear and liberating. And it's some sort of, there's some kind of energy that came from that, which felt like it needed to go somewhere. And Sylvain is a very good speaker. Well, I think he is, and it's sort of the idea to kind of offer workshops, bring people together, discuss what we talk about.
Yeah, what is the headline? Like what is the topic? Was it is it about? Like in a way, for example, I'm suffering now, and I simply want to get rid of my suffering, or to become enlightened, or become free, or whatever. What is the subject? What do you claim yourself?
So we it's well-being is this because
Well-being.
and it's a really good point, actually, because we're running one at a center, which the manager was saying that actually it's really difficult to offer a workshop on well-being because a lot of people don't identify with themselves as a well person. You know, they want to sort of hear the words anxiety, stress, depression, you know, or like they kind of want to hear something that feels a bit more like suffering, I guess. And what we're offering is something, you know, you're already well. You don't actually need to come to this workshop. We're sort of speaking to that well part of you. It's almost like we're having a conversation. But I don't know, Sylvain, if you want to say a bit
No,
more.
but I mean, it's absolutely right. I mean, we know therapies do exist, and in some cases, it's the best possible route to take for people.
Hmm.
However, life is full of challenges for everyone, and well, we find that actually we as human beings, which we didn't create ourselves, whatever created or wherever we come from, we are actually gifted. We've got a lot of tools at our disposal to deal with those challenges. But for some reason, society has overridden our natural abilities to create some rules, which actually don't work very well for people's sort of, happiness and enjoyment of life. So we're focusing on that. I mean, I've been running for about 5 years now, what's called social prescribing. Now, social prescribing is about organize a group of people who unfortunately were addicted to particular or they've been to prison, so and they need to go back into society, trying to actually find motivation to do so. And running those workshop really in nature. I always take people out for walks. I discovered, first of all, that sometimes people have got prejudice, saying, "Oh, people have taken drugs or they've been, drinking, whatever, or they're not interesting." I find only wonderful people who have had very good reason. It happens to all of us. We're unlucky or something happened, and we discover that actually they react so well to what's positive. They don't want to hear about not going well. So really focusing on what people have, where they can improve and make their life better, is what we've decided to do.
Yeah, it's beautiful. In the chat I had this today with Advait. This was also a topic. In a way, I noticed that I love blah 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 a lot of stories. I noticed that I love people, and when I meet them, I never see in a way there is no separation between me and a so-called another.
Yes.
It's just really always like one, whatever. I cannot put it into words, but there is really no separation. And interestingly, I'm always focused, naturally so, on the positive sides. I never see the negative side, no matter how this person is. Of course, if he is coming with a knife against me, I'm going to protect myself. But this is mostly not the case. And I always see like the beauty. And then, of course, if you dive deeper, if the connection is more, of course, the coin has two sides. But it was very interestingly to see, like you said, maybe.
I mean, what's wonderful, really. I mean, and I learned that as a guide. When you give the tools, around the palace, and actually Claire's done it as well, is to discover how much influence one person can have in making about 30 or 40 people, that's what we get on a typical tour. You can get all of them to smile at the same time. It's in your power to make people happy or unhappy, or even. We can get the right vibes. And that's a fabulous work. So in what we do now with Claire, we consider we are guides. We're not teachers, or we're not better than anybody else, but we can guide them through routes we've been using ourselves.
In order to heal themselves, or in what situation are those people? What is something lacking?
They are everyday people. They're not particularly complaining about any elements, and we don't want to really. I mean, certainly me, I'm not qualified to deal with people who've got a very difficult situations.
Yeah.
But all human beings, I mean, there is no exception.
Yeah.
We all encounter challenges, and those challenges either are going to get us down, or we find a way of dealing with them and get stronger.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's where we're focusing for this particular thing. I mean, Claire has got her own practice about a psychoanalyst, where she can deal with people who've got more difficult situations.
Yeah.
So she can do that, of course. But our project together is more about positivity.
Yeah, okay.
It's just interesting as you were both talking though, because I guess sort of if people, like you say, Rosa, when I speak to people, I'm like, well, you're already well. I already see the wellness in you. So why would you spend money to come to a whole day of talking about what you already are? It almost sounds a bit sort of paradoxical, doesn't it? There's that kind of, well, I already see your wellness, but the thing is people don't see that in themselves. People see that they feel like they need something else. They need to be spoken to in a particular way. So there's, I think there's value in, with Sylvain and I, because we can see them like that.
There is this underlying sense of something is lacking. Something needs to be better, no matter what it is, maybe, this, And what is going to happen tomorrow, Claire, sweetheart?
It's a nice little test run for us.
We'll tell you on Tuesday.
It's for the staff at, shall I talk about it?
Yeah, of course.
It's for the staff at Blenheim actually, which is a nice sort of run for us to do before we're doing a paid one at the end of February, which is in Oxfordshire where we both live. But we're at Blenheim where we worked, well, Sylvain works, I worked. It's a staff wellbeing workshop. They wanted to offer something. It's like HR wanted to do something, and they know that I was a psychotherapist, and they said, "Oh, Claire, would you like to do that?" And I said, "Well, funnily enough, Sylvain and I are doing our project. Here's our website, etc." And so we're both offering it on positive psychology. So we're doing a sort of manifestation workshop, doing some kind of visualization, some breath work, some smart goal setting.
Okay. Well, what's the website called?
thecreativemind.world.
Okay.
All on one word.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, what was I going to say is that thing that our aim, sort of the overall focus on what we do. We talk about various things and many ways of dealing with issues, but overall is actually well-being is about being well, and the definition is actually to feel totally secure being alive. So it's basically dealing with the deep fear that we all have because we don't know where we are and we don't know what it's all about. And until we've done a journey, maybe in finding more elements to make ourselves sort of understand a bit better, we are vulnerable of any crisis because we don't know what's going to happen.
Beautiful.
So to gain that confidence and that security is ideally what we'd like to help people do.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, not everyone, I have to say that not everyone is, for example, Xander, never had this fear, like you said, this underlying fear in a way, because it's already free fall. There is no landing. And this is scary. I would say I was afraid of life, full on, trying to find security in stuff which was kind of coming and going, impossible. And then in a way, yeah, but I just want to say that with Xander, this never played out like this, right, sweetheart? There was never the sense of fear. Like, for example, like I would agree with you, Sylvain, a lot of people are living and there is this underlying fear going on. Yeah. Xander?
Well, I mean, it's not about being fearful or not, reaching a state where there's no fear. I mean, who would be there to reach such a state? I would say there's no one in a state of fear. But at the same time, yeah, fear may happen. Fear may arise and fear may go. That's how it seems to play, how it seems to function, right? So it's not about getting rid of fear.
Well, in the workshop, it is about getting rid of fear in a way, feeling well,
not
feeling
completely
safe.
right. Is it to get rid of something?
No.
No.
The objective would be that, but it's actually finding all the reason why we are okay. That we are equipped. I mean, for example, most people, because they don't have the opportunity to consider it. But if you actually realize you're breathing, we all talk about breathing. Now, if we don't breathe for a few minutes, we're dead. So breathing is extremely important, and it plays a role in keeping our body sort of in shape. But we don't have to think about it. It's happening without us having to do anything. So basically, people ignore it. However, once you discover that actually you look at it and you think, gosh, this is amazing. How we didn't invent it. We didn't make it. It's not another person. It's just happened like the trees and the sky and the planet. It was made. I don't know who made it. I'm not trying to say anything like that. However, it shows that we are equipped to live and we can trust that. And there's not just breathing, there's your digestion, there's your heart breathing. I mean, the body is an amazing sort of example. which you can discover the same with nature. The trees are the same, or the insect, the bird. I mean, everything is created in a way it can survive and it's well equipped to it. And that in itself, for me, is how one can get confidence. Fear, we still have it. I mean, if there is a snake coming at you, you might be a fear, but that's fear for a good reason. So it helps you run away rather than actually say, "Oh, what am I going to do about this?" So I'm talking about the unknown, the fear of the unknown, of death and not knowing what's going to happen next. That's, I think, that a fear which is deep down in many people, which stops them, being free and acting as they would wish to do.
And as a psychotherapist, I know that comes from conditioning. So
Yeah,
people have
I wanted to say this, sweetheart. Yeah, did you, due to the conditioning, like how we are raised up by I myself a mother, so in a way it was very obvious here the way I'm talking to the child, like this, and this is, but I only see the perfection in this. Like, guys, I cannot but see the perfection, and no matter if you call it conditioning or I don't know what, which is leading to this kind of fear. And it's so beautifully playing out. There is really no life makes no mistakes. Boom, that's it. It's what it is. Completely unknown already. Having the idea that there was something not so right, and this led to this and this and this and this is this too, of course, of course. What a beauty. I mean, this is so colorful. But yeah, Claire, continue, please, with the conditionings.
Well, as you say, it's sort of paradoxical, really, because my clients come in and they tell me their stories about their childhoods and things that maybe weren't quite so great, and this is why they feel that they're suffering, or that this is why they feel they're struggling, and it sort of comes to a point, as you say, when they sort of say, "Oh gosh, okay, well that's the story, that's okay," but it's almost like the story they were telling themselves before was not quite so peaceful as the story that they then tell themselves. It's like, in non-duality, it might be the progressive path, for example. And, I know Eckhart also talks about this as well, like you can have a book about yourself written after psychotherapy. It's sort of changing the story. But ultimately, when you've done that, it's sort of paradoxical. You kind of see, okay, well, I don't really need the story anymore. Once you've changed it, you don't need it. Or once you see it differently, you don't need it. So we've got to be quite delicate when we talk about it, and I think you do it. You did it beautifully just then as well. It's yes, that the conditioning does seem to happen, but it's beautiful. It happens for a reason, and we don't know exactly what it is. And but it's part of maybe the workshop. It's part of why people are coming to the workshop, because they've had that experience and they want to understand possibly, and it's just interesting.
Yeah, totally. It's a beautiful dance playing, like people resonating with what you're offering. You're simply coming together. Of course, perfection. And this doesn't need any sense. It's, for me, everything plays beautifully senselessly as it plays. And yeah, and sweetheart Xander.
Well, I would say the story is just writing itself, including saying the story is writing itself. There's no you for whom this story is playing. It's no one's story. Again, that's just a new story. So the story of my fear may just simply shift in the story of impersonal fear, which is just a new story, that it's impersonal instead of personal. I would say there's no one separated outside of the story, doing the story, or is able to change it. At the same time, there can be many attempts to try to make the story better or more beingful or more well-being. It's the same with wanting to help with people getting well-being. It's a new story. It's innocent. There's this interest or want, or this idea arising. Let's help people.
So beautiful, so beautiful. There's just this beautiful energy rising there with you two guys, and then there is this project coming out, and then people love it and come, and like not different, sweetheart Xander, like with both of us. In a way,
Oh,
also,
no.
it's the
Of course
same.
not.
We
No.
simply enjoy ourselves, like meeting people, sharing, and it just blah blah blah. It's not, it's just a
It
wonderful.
can be very helpful. I would
Why
not
not?
say that it's helpful for anyone, as a separated someone, but at the same time, I can see that people are going to this program and that there may arise a sense of, well, Claire and Sylvain, they're really healthy, That sense is just a genuine sense, innocently arising, finding it beautiful and being interested, maybe in a follow-up.
Hmm.
It's,
As I
it's, you know,
said,
it's,
as I said here, Claire, here with what happened here when the suffering was very big. I totally resonated with this teacher saying, "What's wrong with your emotions? What's wrong with your fear?" That's it. And this was, in a way, a beautiful therapy, the ultimate therapy, I would say, here for me. So, yeah, I can say, yeah, he helped me. He definitely helped me. I'm very thankful for this. So beautiful.
One of the things we've noticed, when we do talk about well-being, it's becoming a fashionable word here anyway in Britain, maybe in America as well. And it's all about companies want their staff to actually be as good as they can be. So they talk about well-being for staff. Unfortunately, I mean, it's the case at Blenheim, for example, there is a head of well-being. That's a job. Now, the head of well-being is like Claire. She's a psychotherapist,
Oh, yeah.
but her action is all about finding out what's wrong with everybody, so that she can give therapy to everybody. So the result of that is anyone who's got some sort of question mark about their life, who would like to seek some support somewhere, don't come forward because they say, well, everybody now knows there's something wrong with me. So instead of actually going to find anything wrong with people, we want to find everything good about people and
yeah, but
putting them to
yeah,
be as good as they want to be.
but well-being is a popular thing. If you look at, for example, Isha Foundation, there are many, you know, um, joyful living or the living being joyful. There are many.
Do you know Isha Foundation, Claire?
Sander told me you used to work there or volunteered there.
From Sadhguru, the foundation, a very huge one,
I didn't
the
know
Indian
that.
foundation, Isha. It's
Yeah, there are many well-being projects, well-being for land, well-being for humans, well-being for children, well-being for the earth. It's of course in this time it seems to be a hot item,
Yeah.
well-being, human being.
Are
Well,
you
I
still,
want to
are
say
you
I
still
agree
part of
with
that? Are you still
sorry,
part of it?
about what?
Are you
Part of the foundation, the Isha Foundation.
are you still part
Oh,
of it?
no. I was a full-time volunteer for 2 years, and yes. I've still friends, very active within Isha, and I mean there are many so-called. It's not about Isha, or there are many so-called projects which are which have well-being on their list. Create well-being for people, and like you said, Sylvan, I agree. This human mechanism, it's made for living. It's made for surviving. That's pretty clear. I mean, close your nose and your mouth and try to die. It will not work. This body. You cannot. You can try it for 2 minutes, but it will not work. Your hand will go and you will start breathing again. So it's clear that this human system is made for living. And yeah, what I like about you guys is that there seems to be addressing the so-called healthy part of the human being, the part which is already well, instead of focusing on at least that's what I hear, at least focusing on where the trouble is. That's right. I get it right? You're addressing that it's already okay, right?
Maybe you can give one example with one client. How does it look like?
Do you-
You can start if you
we'll find out, as we say. We'll tell you on Tuesday.
Do it tomorrow.
Yeah. I suppose with a client, it's so interesting. It's sort of like there's that real detachment, but there's also, as you said earlier, Rosa, there's that total kind of lack of boundaries at the same time. So it's almost as if you're sort of there with them, but you're not part of their story. You're just, it doesn't affect you. You know, you can see you might see the tears, you might see they round their shoulders. You know, there might be a physical manifestation of something.
Mm.
But I think the way to help is to not try to help. And also, you know, if you dive in there and you say, oh gosh, you poor, you know, or what can I do to help? How can I? And you
Yeah.
sort of panic and you start to think, I need to act. I need to change what's happening right now.
Yeah.
That's really you getting caught in the story.
This reminds me of my mother wanting to help me when I was in trouble. She was exactly reacting like this. Oh, you know, just like one beggar trying to help the other. Boom.
And it's well, exactly, but it's ultimately not helpful, is it? And I had this thing when I had all these therapists, and I ended up being the one to help them because I've got to pretend like they're helping me now. So, oh, it's okay, I feel a lot better now, you know. I had a really good week, I promise, you know, because you sort of want them to feel like they're doing a good job because you can see that they're trying to help you. So you've got to trust that they're, yeah, like your mum, you know, me as a therapist.
Like I had this eating disorder when I was a teenager, and my mother, of course, really wanted to be there for me to help me. We were best friends, and I simply could see the impossibility of this. So, and that's why I simply she asked me if I want to have a therapist, and I happily agreed because I also could see like there is no I was in a way seeing how I'm beautifully bullshitting myself on and on and on, innocently so. And then it was interesting kind of starting to reflect. It was so interesting how it played out. And I knew after the therapy, I don't know how long it was, the woman, she was so beautiful. We were, in a way, we were cracking up in every session. Once in a week, we were laughing the whole time. I was sharing my stories and we were laughing. And she was like, oh my gosh, you know. And then she said, Rose, okay, you're done. You have now your tools. I know you will go your way. And I was like, what? Course not. I'm fucked. You know, I knew it. I knew that it's not. It's not. I simply saw that life is unpredictable. That this so-called eating disorder, addiction, whatsoever, this is simply you cannot get rid of this. You cannot heal it. You know, this is so interesting. It was so interesting, and nevertheless, things are coming and going, changing the whole time, and now it plays completely differently. You know, so I can, in a way, you know, what just the meaning of the words, being sick and being healthy. What does it mean? Like when we go into the opposites, well-being, not well-being. What is it? You know?
Actually, it's a very good question. I mean, I've had doing with, I said, with people who actually were recovering drug addicts,
Yeah.
and of course they are when you respect people. I mean, we all have anything can happen to any of us. So I took the view that actually it doesn't matter what people had encountered. They had been in a quandary. Something didn't work in their lives. They were actually working hard trying to get their life back. So they were deserving of full respect, you know, and not be looked down on. And then one's asked why would actually lead somebody to become a drug addict, and finding when you are an addict, you've got something strong about you, which is that addiction. Now, if one can find a way of directing the addiction to a new subject, which actually is a healthy subject, somehow one can succeed in actually replacing a bad addiction for a good one.
Yeah, beautiful.
But you don't address the addiction itself. It remains because it's part of the person.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, I worked many years with addicts.
Drug addicts.
Yes. But there was no active, where I worked, there was no active policy in getting them to be non-addicts. There was the providing stability, room, housing, and out of that, the sometimes there was an approach made by their own to move away from addiction, but there was never an active, I mean, addiction is mostly a problem because other people claim it to be a problem already.
Of course, you're
It's
quite
with
right.
many things though. So it's also, let's say, what Claire was saying, it's also part of the conditioning. So in my perception or my idea, we will always have people who are addicted. This is just simply how it plays. So this is free to be addicted and free to, find your way out of addiction, or the opposite. It's just simply plays that way, as the need to help people who are addicted, to I like what you were saying, to change that energy, which is focused on getting the drugs into something else, to shift. But I would say there's no possibility to make sure that there are no people who are addicted. Addiction is playing in many levels of life, food, sex, drugs. It's not only drugs. There are many levels in which addiction is happening, habits, social behavior, physical behavior, mental behavior. It's, addiction is it's a big thing, so to say.
I want to ask you a question now, which is not related to what we just told, but I've been wanting to ask you from the beginning. Where you live, what's your connection to nature? Are you living in a city, or are you living in the country, or living in
Oh,
the wild?
I live more in the wild than in the city is 2 hours.
So how do you live? I mean, with all that sort of being in the middle of nowhere, with the sort of the weather you explain how it was, but and the trees. I mean, you are like a primitive man of today.
Well, yeah, maybe. I never give it any of those thoughts, there's no defining of which type
Okay.
of man I would be or not. But yeah, you can say I'm living in nature. That's it, far from the city. But 30 years I lived in big cities in the Netherlands. So it's the last 17 years I'm living in nature. But before when I was working with addicts, it was in the middle of the Netherlands. So was a city, many people, a lot of activities, and
Well, you're
so
comfortable
yeah.
where you are now.
Well, I'm basically comfortable wherever I am, I
Oh,
would
fair
Yeah,
enough.
say, yeah.
yeah.
I'm not more comfortable here than in the city.
Right.
Um, but of course, it always takes an adaptation when there's in the city, it's different than being in nature, totally. But either way, I think when there's a stability, let's call it like that, when there's a stability, it doesn't matter where one seems to be, if it's in the city or, in nature, you can practically live everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It has not so much to do with outside, with so-called outside how you call it,
Circumstance.
Really?
circumstances. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I tend to actually see that, I talk about nature, but a city is nature as well because we made it and we are
Oh
nature.
yeah, of course.
So it is nature, just the same as the trees.
Yes, yes. Show me what is not nature.
Exactly.
I mean, the idea that something is not natural is already natural, so it's already
Yes,
nature in a way. So.
absolutely.
Let me just come back to the addiction.
Yes, sorry, we were just running out
No,
of.
no, no, beautiful. This is here free to boom out whatever. We can change topics the whole time. I love it. With the addiction, I remember the sentence, I don't know who said this, maybe a couple of people said this. The me, the me is the biggest addiction.
Mm.
Of course, it's bullshit. But in a way, because it was about the me and not the me, whatever this means. Yeah, what a beauty. What's wrong? What's wrong with me?
It's funny, Rosa, because that's sort of the ultimate goal in therapy. If there is to be a goal in therapy, it's for people to see that. But if you say that to somebody, when they first come through the door, I don't know what would happen. I've never tried it, but I imagine that they wouldn't come back. But I think that seems to be the goal of if Sylvain and I were to have a goal, it would be for people to come to that understanding, I guess. It just might take, that I don't know that it just takes whatever route it takes. And
I think that the real issue is that to discover that me doesn't exist is very simple. And people don't want to be simple because, I mean,
Exactly.
if there's anything like truth, it's got to be something
Yeah.
everybody can
Yeah.
understand.
It must be something special, and you have to work it out. Otherwise,
Yeah,
it's not worth. And that's why I love to
exactly.
say it's not worth mentioning. Or
And
you have to pay money for this.
yeah,
Then it's something. Otherwise, it has no value. It's
yeah.
so funny. Yeah.
Because I mean, like we're talking about, breathing or whatever. Everything we think we are not because we never made it. We happen to have it already, and we didn't make it and or give it to ourselves or bought it anywhere. It just happened to be. So there is no claim to any of us saying, "Oh, I'm this or I'm that." We're not. We're just the way we made. And so, if there is any, I mean, it's worthwhile getting there because I think that you become an instrument of life, like you do what you're told, rather than want to decide. So in an area we don't know anything really well enough to intervene. So we're just following marching orders, which is a very nice place to be, I suppose.
yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I sort of feel like you've got to be quite careful with the language and the way you I don't know, maybe it's not the language, it's sort of like Sandy, you and I were saying over Messenger a few days ago, there's that sort of that need to help can if you're not it's not a need, it's a want, and there's such a subtle difference between the two of them. So when you talk about a goal, that can sometimes become something external, and it's just not, it's not at all. So yeah, I just wanted to sort of caveat that there's nothing that we think is wrong, or there's nothing that. But then at the same time, there's also that personal preference, like we were talking about, moving to Sweden and the nature and stuff, like that might be a personal preference. It's not there's anything wrong with the Netherlands, it's just that I would like to be in Sweden, that you can make that choice as well, which is
Well,
okay.
I would say it's all impersonal,
Yeah.
So preferences, they arise, and the idea that they are your preferences or the feeling that are your preferences are arising as impersonal as the opposite. So there may be a sense or a thought or a belief that it's your need, your wants to help the people, but that sense is already impersonal. There's no one separated as a you doing the sense of this is mine, this is my want. Preferences are no one's. They are that, it's just dancing freely. Preferences arise and then they go, they maybe linger some time, and then they just dissolve or shift into another preference, you know, the preference to watch Netflix or to go on Zoom. It just dances freely. And, you know, the wants or the needs, there's nothing wrong with needs. You can perfectly say, well, there's a need to help people. I mean, needs are not dirty. Needs are impersonal. They just arise and they dissolve. But there's no you separated as an owner of those needs or a doer of the needs. You know, the need to help people become well, you know, or see well-being already is already just simply rising, as is the idea that it's personal or the sense that it's impersonal or both or neither. It's just playing freely. So I would say it's all impersonal. There's nothing which is personal.
Let me say this here now. I noticed that when I got the help from this teacher, so-called teacher or friend, let's put it more like a friend. I was so happy, and in a way I can say I did it. Let's say everything is me, okay? No separation, everything is me. So life did it. There was no Rosa needing any help and no someone else helping me. It was very obvious. It was a beautiful dance. The perfect timing. The perfect timing for everything playing out like this. And then I was like, this was like, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. I tried to support him. Like I wanted everyone who it was dealing in a way with the suffering, you know, with the so-called psychological suffering. You know, you can say there are thoughts, practical thoughts, and there are thoughts leading to psychological suffering. So we in a way can play the game, calming the mind, the thoughts, meditating, breathing, whatsoever, you know, so beautiful. And there was this huge and loveness resonance, like this therapy. And until it wasn't, they simply stopped. And then also the idea, it was, of course, I was in touch with people who in a way asked me stuff. It was also kind of a helping, like as long as it was interesting here for me in order to get help. I was burning for this. There was the energy, the excitement, and then this simply stopped slightly, not abruptly, but very like. And then I always see like when there is simply no separation. Being loving to help someone else is already loving to help yourself.
That's what we said earlier.
I was literally just thinking, Sylvain was saying earlier, is that the love that comes through you. Yeah.
It's in a way following your highest excitement. No matter if it's with art, like beautiful painting, Claire, thanks for sharing. Wow, you're a very gifted girl.
But
And
Rosa, did you not say that all help is self-help?
It's oh yeah, we can say everything is me, you know, everything is the self already. There is nothing but the self. We can go like this.
May I ask a question? I hear all that and I share it with you, but what is your view? Why is it that actually the me or the I is prevalent with so many people? How do you explain that?
Is what? Can you please
Prevalent that there are so many people who believe it's me and I'm this, I'm this, I'm that, instead of finding out that they are not really. Sorry.
Why it's so prevalent? Maybe, well, I don't want to say that it is like that, you know?
Okay. But I mean, I can't myself.
Well, let's, but of course, any conclusion is just a conclusion, so to say. I would say it's partly, you know, out of language based. So, I mean, when there's just, you know, I have to communicate. So let's use the word beingness. When there's just beingness, there's no sense of separation. You know, when there's just the flow, or when there's just work happening, you know, normal life, there's no sense of me and the world, you know. And then at a certain point, through language, in a way, it's always made personal. So, and then there seems to be, an innocent identification with the physical form being the you. So this is another thing. I think it's more things which leads up to the idea there is an I, that's either, it's the physical form, but it's also through language, through communication. There seems to be a you as a center, as the doer of life. So you are born, you are the doer of life, you are the doer of activities. So that's where the I is, maybe arising, so to say.
I find
Language,
that
through body.
I find this a lot to do with education, where we all are told who we are by our parents, by our teachers, and how to behave. We're given almost a code of how we are supposed to be and how we're supposed to behave and what we do. So it's almost that we are made before we exist. We don't get a chance just to be. We are
Well,
just made to be.
wait a sec, sweetheart. Listening to you now, I almost got the impression that someone who is in a way completely feeling let's put it like this, feeling completely split, separated, and is suffering, yeah, is 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 in a way wrong, and the one who has no sense of separation and is booming and blooming is, it's okay. And this here simply is missing. This part was seen through, so to say, that I see only the perfection, and no matter what conditioning, idea of who, no matter what idea is running here, and no matter how it plays out with, how is it called, neurosis, or misbehavior, or struggling, suffering, this is perfection already for no one. There is simply no one. It's impersonal. There is no relation to start with. It's just
So
life playing out. Yeah, chaos.
I think what Rose is trying to say, that it doesn't matter if there's a sense of I or the
Yeah,
belief of
definitely.
what the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
body.
Yeah.
It's just how it plays, and I mean, so there are many ideas and conclusions that the sense of me being, this body is something which arose in childhood, early childhood, before a certain age there was not this sense. So it's a part of conditioning, sitting on your mother's lap. She's continually saying, that is you, that is me. So here's the sense of self arising in through language. But it doesn't really matter. It's just simply how it seems to evolve, how it seems to function. So the sense of I can be very strong, I as me being this body, or the lack of it, or the sense of being a separated person, or the lack of, that sense of being separate. I don't think that anyone is actually feeling separated, um, as an actual feeling. So there's an innocent, automatic stream of thoughts painting a you born into a world, living separated from other people, and there's no separated you outside of that innocent story painting
Yeah.
a separated world where you live in, where you
Yeah.
are born into. But there's no one who has experienced his or her
Beautiful.
birth. It's all foundationless,
Beautiful.
based on a memory. No one was there with his birth. It's just a story based, and it has totally no foundation.
Yes.
Outside of the story, there's nothing. There's no world, there's no separation, there's no actual feeling. No one is actually feeling separated besides the idea that I'm here and you there. And out of that idea is an innocent feeling arising that the two are not one.
Still, the way I look at it, there are consequences of people believe they exist on their own, because you
Yeah.
can see all over the place So it's almost like a universal trauma that there is a separation, whether we like it or not, between the reality. For me, there's only one reality, but there's also as many reality as people, because we all create our own reality, but they're all fake realities. There's only one, which is the one behind it, which actually is where we don't intervene.
But you know, finding it a problem, you know, or the lack of that finding it a problem is as innocent as all the other ideas seemingly arising, and thoughts and beliefs and assumptions and conclusions. So
Do you
claiming it
think
to
you
be
have
a
a responsibility? You that life gave you a job to do?
no.
That's what I think. I've got a job to do, which is not
Oh,
my
no, no,
decision.
no. It doesn't play that way here. Sorry.
Here also not, sweetheart. Here's
But
the same. It's the same.
I find it beautiful,
Yeah, me too.
you
I
know,
think
but
it's
I cannot
beautiful.
say there is, you know, here there's no duty to fulfill, there's nothing to reach. It
Yeah.
was never that playing in that way. At the same time, you know, I enjoy, you know, listening to the story of Sylvain and Claire wanting to create well-being, or point to that well-being is already what is. But no, I mean, you know, there was never a sense of separated from life. So this is just has no duty more than the idea that there is a duty or not. So I was not born with something to fulfill.
Like a
uh,
purpose. There is
no,
just the directness of what is.
this is
And
already the purpose and the
yeah,
goal at once.
exactly. Exactly.
Well, it
This
was
is
interesting, Sandra, because the conversation we had over Facebook, it just made me realize there's so much individual difference. And, you know, when you said, oh, well, here it's, I don't have that feeling here. And I said, oh, gosh, there's something wrong with me because I do have that
No,
feeling here. But there's not. It's just that
no,
we're
it's
different people and
beautiful.
we've got
Yeah,
different, you know, backgrounds. And
exactly. You
when
know,
we,
this is it. This is free to be whatever it seems to be, feeling that there's a purpose. You know, it's my purpose. So there may be a sense, it's my purpose. You know, that sense may also not be there. I need to do something. You know, it can be or not. You know, this is free to be whatever it seems to be.
and the beauty in a way, sweethearts, when there is this openness, we can say this huge yes to what is, innocently so. For me, the huge yes implies the radical no. When I don't like something, I would say no. This is definitely this what is, simply what is. Then in a way, it's of course everything is effortlessly playing out. But then in a way, all those beautiful ideas and like having a purpose now, um, may simply like it's coming and going, it's stopping, it's changing very quickly, very quickly. So the ideas, it's so beautiful. It's such a beautiful game. It's
yeah.
amazing. And what I also wanted to say here was like I noticed that I was wondering, like checking out the characters I resonate with. And I noticed those characters, like very much with Xander, but I noticed the other few characters, they have a huge sense of humor. They're in a way, like entertainers. So, and I saw that in a way there was a point, a pointless point, when I saw the senselessness of what is. So no matter what I claim this to be, life, good, bad, blah, 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 it was already not making any sense. And this I resonated the most, that this is already without any sense and meaning. This is the freedom. And then when there is suffering, when it's hard, then there is a natural reaction just to be completely humor, like full of humor, like seeing a joke. So because it's so how to say, so hardcore, hard, shitty, unbearable for me, of course, me and my life, I cannot control it anymore. Help. And then there is this point where there is just this hopelessness, and this is in a way this freedom, and then then you are able to smile. Then you are able to say, hey girl, what is this about? Come on, chill, enjoy. And this is so in a way I saw that here is this resonance with this. There is always an underlying smile, joke, happiness, we can say, which is not right to put it like this, but I can always say, come on, it's a joke already.
And I think people really pick up on that when you're, as a therapist, when I can continue to sort of not smile because that would be insensitive, but there's that kind of, and sometimes I will make a joke, they'll say something, I'll say, that sounds bloody awful, and it will almost kind of just cut through the seriousness of the story. And
exactly.
Yeah.
It's the saying that man plans and God laughs.
Come again.
Man plans, make plans, and God laughs. Because none of the plans we make ever get anywhere. So it's a joke.
And in a way, I wasn't anymore able to take myself seriously. This collapsed. It was just like, yeah, as I said, me and my life. No, it's just full on what is. And of course, for practical reasons, I'm always going to say me, my, this. Of course, why not? It's practical. There is no need to change anything. There is maybe just an energy behind it, just this openness, just this directness.
You do exist, don't you? Whether it's you or not you exist.
It's self-evident, this, whatever is happening is already self-evident, but you can call this me or no me or God.
No matter how.
Yeah.
There are also like tribes, or I don't know, cultures. They have a special, unique language. The I, me, is not appearing in this language. Everything is like verbing.
Well,
So
we've had that discussion with Claire. I mean, before language was invented, before we can speak. At the end of the day, I was taught to speak French. I don't know what language you were taught to when you were born, but if we'd been moved to China, we'd speak Chinese. Words are not represented. I mean, they are vague representation, but they are not really our original language. For me, the original language is feelings, emotions. That's it. That's is that simple. But as soon as we got with somebody else and we want to communicate, I suppose earlier on people could communicate just with their feelings, but somebody invented language to make it easier.
Well, I would say feelings or emotion are the chemical counterpart of a thought.
That's so interesting.
So where thoughts are quite, can be very fast, the emotions can linger on. So thoughts can swiftly turn, but emotions seem to linger on longer. But there's no actual separation between a thought and an emotion. You cannot find a thought as you cannot find an emotion.
But it's felt in the body, isn't it? That's
But actually,
but at the same time, so claiming a certain sensation to be a happy sensation is a thought claiming a certain body sensation to be a happy sensation.
I'd like to challenge that slightly, because
that's okay.
For me, a thought requires words, and words are after feelings.
Well, I mean, of course you can say that, but you can easily also turn it around and say words are prior. So you cannot.
Well, if you leave a child without education, they will not speak words. Words are totally learned.
Oh yes, of course, but I mean thoughts or words. It's for me, words are just an externalization of thoughts. Words are nothing else than thoughts being spoken.
See, for me, a thought in words is a translation of a feeling.
Yeah, I mean, you can say, however, it doesn't matter here. It doesn't matter if it's a translation or not. So I would say there's just simply no issue with thoughts or words or emotions.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
And some people don't have verbal. I have visual. I don't really think in words. I think in pictures. So that also sort of makes things. Everyone. It's different, isn't it? You don't really know.
Well, in spirituality, there's a lot to do with thoughts. You have to manage them, you have to control them, you have to do this and that with them. You don't need to, you cannot have them. It's all about controlling stuff, But the funny thing that,
There's
no one doing them already.
beautiful. There is simply no control. It's so beautifully playing out. Like, for example, like I have no choice with whom I'm falling in love. It's just boom.
That's
done.
a drama, isn't it?
Yeah. No, this is the beauty, that's the joke. It's so beautiful. And here is really no control. It's so obvious. No idea what thought is going to pop up next. And this is so obvious in like being able to speak, to communicate. Like I always love to say, it's already a misunderstanding. What a beauty. What a game. Speaking about a subject. It's so beautiful. Making a point. Making a pointless point. It's always it's full on emptiness already. There is no escape of this emptiness. And that's the beauty, that's the joke, that's the creativity. So no matter what is being created, it's just like gone. It's so beautiful. Yeah. And there is no going wrong or right. It's just like beautifully playing out. It's so beautiful.
There's no other way. Sorry.
Like I said, let's say is a bodily sensation, and then there's a claiming of that sensation to be something, either positive, negative, happiness, sadness. Yeah. The claiming it to be positive or negative and the feeling itself are innocently induced. There's no you inducing that feeling, neither doing the labeling of it. It's just freely happening, like you were saying. It's just mental activities, either physically activities, innocently. There's no separated doer of them. And when it's seen, it's just dancing freely. So, only when there's this sense they are mine, there seems to be the urge to control it. To do something with it.
Yeah,
that gets in the way of what Rosa was saying about, if you think it's yours, then you get attached to an outcome, and you can't just you can't just.
Yeah, but at the same time, this even this so-called attachment, is also innocent. So the attachment or the lack of attachment, in that way, it's hopeless. There's already no you doing the attachment, able to let it go. There's no you doing the holding on of emotions. There's no you holding on an emotion, able to let it go already. So when people are instructing you to do something, to let go of the past, there's no you already holding on to a memory. As a you separated, holding on to the memory, able to let it go. There's just an innocent, sticking into a so-called memory, which is just, a label on an action which seems to have happened, but there is not even, a past or a future nor a present moment. So in that way, it's hopeless. You cannot let something go which you already are not holding.
I don't know what to say to that.
like Sylvain beautifully said, for the mind, for the thinking mechanism, it needs to be complicated. It must be about something for me. This is the game. This is the game. Because it cannot be like this as it is already. Pain, suffering, bad, whatever. No, no, no. This must be something, and this is so beautiful. This I love, you know, this is the juice. Otherwise, it would be so boring. Come on. This is the game.
Now,
Oh, you
both
can call it
sides.
that, Rosa.
no, for me, the beauty is also that there may be a trying to let go. There
Of
may be
course.
a trying to let go, and there may be even innocently arise an idea, I made it, I let the past go, which is just another thought claiming that it has let the past go as a you, being a separated doer of holding the past, and now you have let it go. That feeling or that sense may just simply arise. That's the beauty.
Well, I find for me, obviously, that actually I would go along with a lot of what you say, but I'd still feel for me that we are part of a game, which is not our game, but I would call it the game of life. And I think life is there to succeed. And then we are playing the part in actually helping life to succeed. So when you actually look at all the damage we can cause, as well as all the marvelous things we can make, I think that we are here to make choices.
But that's life already.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but this is life already. Saying that we are part of life or we are not part of life is equally life. There's just life. There's no separated you doing life, able to manage it, to control it to an absolute extent.
Yeah.
There's just life, lifing. There's just, all the ideas about life is also life. Thinking, the need and the
Yes.
want to change it.
It's life. It's life zundering. It's life clearing. It's life Sylvaing and Rosaing so beautifully.
I follow that completely, yes. But at the same time, I think there is a balance of things which actually life requires. And although it's all the same thing, it compensates for each other.
But
So,
balance between what?
Well, I mean, you
Between life and life.
Well, yes, exactly. But there's a life which is life promoting. There's a life which is life destroying. And
Yes, but
therefore,
that's yes.
get the balance right so life succeeds.
Sylvain, it's always balanced already.
Yin and yang, is it?
It's already balanced. So the bloodiest war is perfection, is full on balance. Without this war, maybe the peace somewhere else is not going to appear. So this is the wow to see this. And the drive, the energies you have inside intrinsically to do such a project to help so-called people, boom, that's it. This is perfection.
I mean, every breath, Sylvan, is destroying many things and giving life to many things at the same time. It's life and death continuously at the same time, simultaneously. Its destruction and birth are not two different, it's the same. So birth and death, destruction and life itself is the same. It's not something as two separated opposites.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, I mean, listening to you, you obviously you've given a huge amount of meditation, of thought, of consideration about what's around you. You obviously have got a beautiful brain, which is not of your making, you happen to have it. So how do you explain that in the scheme of life?
Well, it's just how it seems to function, I would say. Here there's no trying to figure out why or how come.
I want
This
to
is
figure
just
it
how
out.
it seems to. Yes, yeah, beautiful, and I mean, but here this is just how I would say the cookie crumbles. This is this is free to play in infinite amount of forms. In passive, in active states, in trying to save, in not trying to save. This is, it's, yeah, what can I say? It's just simply how it seems to function here, so to say.
Well, it does. It functions well, and I think whether I can see you as a emanation of life, which is actually specifically you, we you know not as an ego, but
Mhm.
actually
Yeah,
as a creation worth creating. There's not another one like
yeah,
you.
it's all different flowers, right?
Yes,
Mm.
It's
exactly.
all flowers, you know, it's
Yes,
all colors and shapes, and you
exactly.
know, and patterns are different, but it's all flowers, it's all life. So it's, you know, it's so there seems to be a uniqueness, you know, in and at the same time it's exactly the same. So there seems to be four unique individuals, and at the same moment it's exactly the same. There's no difference at all. It's all life, you know. So it's completely different and the same.
Yeah, yes, I follow that. I agree entirely to that. Yes.
So
Yeah,
there
and this
seems to be diversity, right? Nature seems to be diverse, you know, in many levels.
and that's the
So
beauty
I
in a
was
way.
talking, yeah, I was talking about this with Claire. You know, probably if all, you know, want to save the world, it probably will end because it will, you know, in one way it will lose its balance, you know, because something else will happen because whenever so it's diversity, so there, you know, there's a preference to save the world and there's a lack of that preference and it's all playing freely, so to say. And you know, this wanting to save the world or making it a better place can become very intense, and it can slowly build up over a time, and it can also, you know, dissolve again into the lack of that need. But it's beautiful. It's not me saying that it's wrong, you know. It's just I love these types of projects from, you know, Clare and Sylvain or from Isha, whatever, you know, planting trees. And you see it, this is, you know, it's always shifting and turning and changing innocently, so to say.
But I mean, you know, at the beginning of a conversation, Rosa was mentioning, and I agree with Claire, about the feeling of love going through you. That is more important than the one you receive in a way. And I think that when we act in life, not thinking about it, we just go along on our own path and do what we want to do without knowing whether we want to know. It just happens. We get some sort of reward to some extent, like we feel good about something, and that's almost like, well, you've done a good job. You didn't decide necessarily what you were doing, but that was the right sort of thing to do. And I find in that way we are you know fulfilling a particular destiny.
But I'm not
The
looking for
outcome
a
looks
reward.
different. Mm.
Pardon?
Here, there's no looking for a
Mm, yeah.
reward.
No, but I am.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. Sylvain, beautiful. Beautiful. It's so beautiful. Yeah, I know what you mean.
I love the eyes, Sylvan, when they when you laugh.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Well, they're
Uh,
not mine.
No, but I like it. I like it. You know, it's such a beauty.
there
No,
is
but I mean, sorry, Rosa, go ahead.
um there is this subtle, you know, there are those body mind complexes, and there is an energy kind of driving. There is a life force,
Yeah, that's right.
and or not, or maybe just a full on depression. No, no life force at all, no energy, nothing. And in a way, no one is able to control it. It's just what it is. And the idea that or like this following the highest excitement, it's bullshit already. It's bullshit already. There is no one. It's just playing out naturally, you know. And there are just like, I don't know, it goes like this, or maybe like this. And yeah, what to say, I cannot put it into words. It's
I
just what
mean,
it's so simple and direct.
you know, Claire finding Sylvan, you know, working at the same place, and then, you know, suddenly somewhere the thought arose to do a project, and out of that project, activity arose also, and then there's a following up.
Yeah,
It's just dances, you know, and
yeah,
so
it's
it's
Don't you think
beautiful.
that's a lovely dance?
oh, beautiful. Sweethearts, I'm so happy for you for this
And
lovely dance.
we're supposed to be dancing, at the
So,
same time.
but it's not different like the dance with Xander and me. It's the same. It's just like, that we are now, the four of us here together having this beautiful chat. Perfection in action. No choice in this. Done. And it's so, this is like, I see a lot like those timings, like the perfect timing, there is this, things are happening and you're just like, wow, that's amazing, and it's, or maybe completely the opposite. Oh my gosh, this is completely fucked up,
Yeah, but
Perfection.
10,000 things are happening, this is the funny. There are many things happening, and then you have this so-called happening that you meet the person, and this is then, it's seen as important as,
Yeah,
now
exactly,
it's all
exactly.
out of all the happenings. So then
Beautiful.
there's this
Yes.
adding of that moment is a special moment. The moment I
Beautiful.
met that one is special, and out of that arises more thoughts and
Beautiful.
conclusions and ideas, and then, yeah.
It's a beautiful point, like something being important. That this simply is, no, it's not important.
It's
Not at all.
a
Keep us
little bit.
grounded,
It's
Rosa.
just a little bit important.
Not at all. This
Funny
is so
thing is,
brutal. This is so brutal, sweetheart. This life is not seeing you. It's not about you. It's so beautiful. This is so beautiful. This is so powerful for no one. This is just booming aliveness, and that this is the point where everything is collapsing. Nowhere to hold on. Just free fall, no landing. But not for you. You are not falling. There is just life dancing.
Yeah. Well, it's lovely, Rosa, because we're not, it's not an attachment to the website or anything we're doing, and it just comes from such a place of love.
Yeah,
It's like
beautiful.
sometimes we feel like posting something, sometimes we just feel like doing it, so if the whole thing does crumble, it will be a bit sad. I think we will be very sad, we'll be sad, but yeah, like you say, it's there's not that kind of
It's just like, those, I don't know if it's in Buddhism, there with sand, with color sand, doing beautiful,
And then
Mandala.
straight away.
and then
Are they called mandala?
yeah, mandala.
Mandala, yeah.
That's it, sweetheart. Just enjoy pouring the sand and having one glimpse on this beautiful mandala,
But not,
and then
don't
it's like
finish it.
boom.
The last pinch, no.
And
Leave it to be.
it's like life is so direct, so immediate. There is simply nothing coming in between. Every thought, every idea is it already. It's just like, it's as I love to say, it's not worth mentioning because there is nothing to mention. That's it. Sound, watching, sitting. And this is the love, which is always coming out here, and the joy. Yeah.
Yeah, I can
So
see it's definitely the love, Claire and Sylvain.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm very curious how this project will evolve, so to say.
beautiful. So to all of our the listeners and watchers who are interested in the project, just put it in a nutshell again. What is the topic? Well-being.
So it's a wellness platform, and it's just sharing, really. It's sort of a progression of the conversations that we've been having together, and it's an offering. And I don't really know what else there is to say about it.
No, that's good.
And is there also an online section, where people can connect to you?
Website.
Not at the moment. We don't have a communication tool with people. It's just a website for the time being. But we'll see where life takes us.
Yes.
Beautiful. But
Are
there on the
any
website
plans?
is email address, right? They can connect with you through email.
Yeah,
When it works.
there is an email.
Beautiful.
Our individual emails are on there as well on our section. I put them on the other
Oh,
day.
excellent.
And Claire, you are also active on Facebook, so there are ways to connect with you. So we will simply put in the description of the video the website and maybe the address, so interested people can simply get in touch with you, sweethearts.
If they like. Lovely.
Yeah, nice.
I want the website name again.
The creativemind.world.
.world, okay.
.world, yeah.
creation, creative creation.
Creative.
Mind.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you.
curious to see how it will be tomorrow.
Sylvain,
If
sweetheart.
tomorrow comes at all.
Well,
On a cheerful note.
I guess they're all excited, right?
Well, I must say that actually, I'm excited whether tomorrow comes or not, because it's been a really nice evening. Thank you so much. I mean, it's a very stimulating conversation. Whether it's worth anything at all, I have no idea, but it was quite interesting at the time.
So Sylvain, do you want to round it up now with, I don't know, no matter what's popping up now in this mind, just let us, just feel free to share.
Well, I mean, all I would say is actually I've listened, and nobody's got the answer about what is life or anything like that. But actually, in the meantime, we can decide for ourselves what we would like to be, because that's a free offer, and we can be as creative as we want to be, and be part of the action we decide. So it gives every single person the right to be who they want to be or not, whatever the case might be. That's the best way I like to finish. I respect everybody, and living is not an easy task, but maybe it is.
I love it. Clare, sweetheart, go say also something.
Oh, I don't know. I just say thank you. This has been so wonderful, and I just feel so excited. And this is the exact energy that we're both using with all of this. So thank you both, because you're kind of fueling the ship in a way. So yeah.
Thank you, sweethearts. I totally enjoyed it. Really, so beautiful and so booming. Xander, sweetheart, also thank you. Yeah,
Thank
nice.
you, Sylvain,
Yeah,
Claire.
looking forward to seeing you again.
Yeah, totally. We
can
stay
do
in
a
touch.
That would be
follow-up.
lovely.
You can
We
tell
simply
us
stay in touch.
how
And
it was.
let's stop the recording now.